Hi, this is Carrie Brownstein.
This is DJ Premier.
This is Darren Aronofsky.
You got the RZA right here.
Rose McGowan.
Radiohead.
Aisha Tyler.
Tribe Called Quest.
Fred Armisen.
Fritz Paul.
Javier Munoz. Seth Meyers.
Frankie Cosmos.
Flying Lotus.
Hi, we're Chaim, and you're listening to the Talkhouse Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Talkhouse Podcast. I'm Josh Modell. On this week's episode, we've got a couple of dynamic frontmen who've brought a ton of personality to rock and roll over the years. It's Pelle Almqvist and James Smith. Now, Almqvist, aka Howlin' Pelle Almqvist, is the singer for the Swedish band The Hives, who make garage rock, punk rock, or simply rock and roll, depending on who you're talking to. That question comes up in this conversation. The Hives broke through back in the early 2000s with the monumental album Veni Vidi Vicious and the song Hate to Say I Told You So, and they've since amassed an incredible catalog alongside an earned reputation as one of the most exciting live bands you're ever going to see. The Hives went quiet for a while, but came roaring back in 2023, and last year they released their 7th record called The Hives Forever, Forever the Hives. A brilliant title if I've ever heard one. Check out a little bit of the title track from that album right here. This is The Hives Forever, Forever the Hives. The other half of today's conversation, James Smith, is the singer, talker, kind of rapper occasionally at the helm of the British band Yard Act, whose first album, 2022's The Overload, immediately announced them as a serious musical force. Smith's voice is the slick, confident center of their songs, and his unique way of sing-speaking feels like a gamble that paid off ridiculously well. The band has since released 2 more records, including the excellent new You're Gonna Need a Little Music, which deals at times with the idea of getting everything you want but not knowing what to do with it. It was produced by Justin Meldell Johnson, he's the Justin mentioned in this chat, who seemed to help tame the beast in all the right ways. Check out a little bit of Empty Pledges right here.
Hello, how you doing? I'm doing very well. I've done absolutely nothing since I last saw you 4 years ago. How you doing? Yeah, I'm still chipping away, but I've got absolutely nothing new to say.
This lively chat took place via Zoom, and I have to note right off the bat that Almqvist was dialing in from his sauna while wearing a Hives-branded robe. Totally on brand in the best way. These two talk about religion, typical days on tour, and quite a bit about how they've both gotten into painting and how they're trying not to make it into work. Enjoy.
All right, James, how's the painting coming along?
Yeah, the painting's going pretty well. How's the painting looking? Have you found a place for it yet?
It's in my kitchen.
Beautiful.
Very functional.
Functional. All great art should be functional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked good in the picture you sent. Thanks for buying it. I'm glad it went to someone I know so I can kind of keep an eye on it over the years.
It's an important piece, you know.
Yeah, I painted it based on on the LA trip. Meredith took the photo it was based on, and it was from when we were finishing the album, so it's quite a fond, well, very fond time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the first kind of it's not really a landscape, is it? What are you an art fan?
Oh, that has no people in it, you know.
It's kind of my first peopleless painting, because I kind of started doing portraits. Still, I'm more interested in sort of painting people in general, but I wanted to try something different. And so that was the first sort of study I'd done in that sense.
I'm kind of the opposite. I started doing like oil paintings and stuff maybe a decade ago or something.
Oh, right.
And I went to class. I got it as a birthday gift, like oil painting class. And it was like on Tuesdays around like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Nice.
Which meant that it was just me and kind of people who had been, exhaustion, depression, or they were unemployed.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a fun group. And I was oil painting, and I kind of took it from a friend of mine who's a painter, who's a really great painter, but he doesn't like the way he does faces.
Right.
So he just doesn't do faces. So I'm kind of the opposite. I don't really do the face. I do the rest of the person, but I kind of leave the face blank.
Oh, so you don't paint faces? That's kind of one of your...
You've seen too many faces in a life, I think.
I need to see some of your paintings. I didn't realize you painted. Are you still painting?
Yeah, I can send you one, a faceless painting, if you want.
I'd love a faceless painting.
I was recording the new record. I feel like you started doing it before we went on tour, and then you went to finish it afterwards. Like you recorded most of it at home. You did this thing that I feel like is kind of a thing that all bands go through at one point, is the self-recording, like we're building a studio and then we're recording it there kind of thing.
It's the first sort of like spoils of your victories, I suppose, isn't it?
You can afford a microphone.
Yeah. And then you get into the headspace of being like, we never need a producer ever again. We never need anyone else. We can do it all ourselves. And you think it sounds amazing. And it doesn't sound bad. But as soon as we worked with Justin, it was like, oh, yeah, we definitely do still need a producer.
We've done that thing too. You make everything your job. It's like, okay, I got to write a song. We got to rehearse it. We got to play it well while listening to if we're playing it well. And also we got to solder some cables. And we also got like, it's just like DIY is, it's just a lot of different jobs, which makes it hard to focus on any one of them.
Yeah.
It's also really fun and educational.
It's kind of nice to pretend to be DIY when you're not in a position where it's make or break. You can kind of play it being DIY a bit. It's not like DIY where you're doing it on a shoestring. It's kind of affordable DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And DIY with a budget.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was great. Yeah, we did 5 weeks in Leeds, and then the Hives tour that we'd very gleefully said yes to. I was kind of cursing it when it began because I was kind of in album mode and I wasn't ready to go on tour. I kind of wanted to finish the record, and it's the only time we've ever taken a break between finishing something, and it was 3 months. At first, it was really hard for me to switch modes. I kind of just wanted to be in the studio.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the tour bus rolled away, I think by the time we left Oslo after those 2 shows, I was like, oh no, I'm on tour now, it's cool, I've forgotten about that.
Yeah.
And the gap was really rewarding. It really helped us finish the record with a sort of fresh perspective that if we'd carried on and not stopped, I think we would have missed some things.
That thing with the gap though, is we did a kind of our breakthrough record, Benny Vicious. We tried to record it once and like failed. We hadn't finished all the songs and stuff, and we kind of just blagged like we did and went into the studio, didn't have enough songs, tried to make some up on the spot and stuff. And then it was a big deal, like kind of admitting defeat, like this is not a record. And then going back home with our tail between our legs and working for another 6 months. And then, then that record became hugely successful. So that means that we know that can happen. And now it's sort of built in when we're doing records, like where we'll go as far as we can and then kind of take a break or have a little gap and then go back in to try to finish stuff. You got to get some perspective sometimes, I think, or we have to see if it's good or bad,
So have you done that on every record since?
Different versions of it. I mean, this last one we kind of had to, because we'd kind of booked a world tour that needed an album to come out at a certain point. So there was like a hard deadline, which I think sucked kind of, but it is what it is. It's a good record. But we realized that it's helpful at least to do what you can and then take a break and see if you still like it a few months later.
Yeah.
Because you're going to live with that shit forever.
Yeah.
So you might as well do your best.
I don't think it's real, but I have this I have this real willingness to believe in this sort of lightning in a bottle approach, like magic can fall out, but it's just not the way it works, really, is it?
Well, some magic will fall out, but sometimes you talk to a band who's like, oh, we did the whole album live and it's just one take and all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, if you're really lucky,
yeah,
some of that's going to be good. But wouldn't you rather like do that a couple of times and then take the best ones? I'm a fan of the romance of it, like that you just kind of like on a fluke make something fantastic. But I also like kind of the, sort of Japanese craftsman approach where like you have a guy making omelette for 18 years. And I'm sort of that guy, but with rock and roll, with minute little differences and tweaks here and there. I'm trying to make it better every time.
Yeah, you go find a new spin on eggs. Find a new spin on rock and roll.
Yeah, I don't want a new spin. I want eggs, but like better.
You just want which means you just want rock and roll. Yeah,
I want to like mix in reggae. I think I want to make.
We've not mixed. Yeah, I mean the Clash got pretty close, but I feel like no one's managed to sort of fuse reggae with rock and roll quite the way that we want it. The willingness that we have for reggae to meet rock and roll in as satisfying a way as it should do.
I guess like Bob Marley got a lot of criticism for being like the music was too white in the beginning because it's very like kind of well produced and well mannered compared to the other Jamaican stuff that was going on. And then you got like Ace of Base who perfected
Swedish reggae.
It kind of is reggae technically. Like if you just go through what each instrument is doing, it's pretty reggae-esque, but it's also pop music.
It's great. I love. Well, I mean, I only really know All That She Wants, but Ace of Base. Was that Max Martin?
It wasn't. It was like a guy in the band, I think, that did everything. I mean, it was kind of done out of the same studio, but I don't think Max Marley was involved. The dude from Ace of Base supposedly like wrote all the songs himself, I think.
Right. Do you know him? Are you friends with Ace of Base?
Which is a little strange. Like, then if he's that good at it, why didn't he just keep doing it? Because they had like a weird deal. Like the record companies didn't believe in them. So they did like a joint venture. So they got 50% of all the money. And it's all like, one of the world's best selling albums or whatever. So I guess they never needed money again. So maybe he just stopped making music. I have no idea if he's making music again.
How's the Swedish music scene at the moment? The Stockholm music scene, or Sweden in general? What's happening?
I mean, I've barely been in Stockholm the past 4 or 5 years.
Right.
But I think it's good, man. There's a lot of excited young kids, and our producer and longtime friend Pelle, who produced a bunch of our records, his theory is that the music becomes good when there's no career path, like early rap or early punk and all that stuff. It's exciting because there's like no one's in it for the money. And then when, you get like a Public Enemy and a few successful people, there's like people that kind of like, we're going to do this and it's going to go well.
Yeah.
And he thinks that ruins it. But so there's a lot of kids in bands that are really cool because they're like, you can tell it's just because they want to make something that they think is fun and that they're, 20 of their friends like.
Yeah, nice.
Which is usually kind of good. When you're making music, that should be like what you picture in your brain. Like, I'm playing this music for 50 of my best friends. Do they like it? And as opposed to like, will a stadium of 100,000 people be into this? I think that's harder to quantify. But yeah, I think the soccer music scene is doing great. There's a lot of young people making music that I think is kind of cool and surprising and extreme in different ways. There's a bar or like a club called Spice 99 that seems to have a lot of like live shows where young bands will play and stuff. And
cool.
It's pretty like lawless. Like there'll be a drum and bass act and then like a punk band the next day.
I like Stockholm. I really like it when I've been there, but we've not managed to spend a ton of time there. We've kind of dipped in and out. I've been there twice now.
Yeah. Well, same for me in Leeds, I think. It's sort of like arrive in the morning and leave at night kind of thing.
Yeah.
Most of the times.
I can't imagine the Hives are begging the booking agent and the tour manager to schedule a day off in Leeds so you can really soak it up.
I guess like you end up playing Leeds sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we did that Arctic Monkeys tour where we played like, there'd be a stadium of like 90,000 people and then you'd travel like an hour and a half and then there'd be another one of 90,000 people. It's like everyone who lived in the UK went to that tour.
Yeah.
And, we did a lot of biking around, which is kind of like our thing.
Oh, yeah. You guys are,
We bring bicycles. So we biked around Leeds a lot. But they're all like all these English cities kind of, usually there's a canal, you bike along and then you have some fish and chips and a pint on a pub by the canal and then you go to a cathedral and then that's time to kind of go to the show. That was usually like, what's the cathedral today? Oh, there's 49 in this city.
That's great. Are they the folding bikes? Are you guys all rocking Bromptons or?
Well, mine's a Brompton. The other guys have different ones, but they're all kind of foldable. But in the US backline, we got like real bikes. Like we bought actual full-size bicycles because the trailers are bigger in the States.
Nick's also got his land skis, hasn't he? Which is kind of...
Yeah, he does.
Have you had a go on that?
That's not my scene, man.
when we met Nick in Berlin, me and Ryan went to meet him at Hansa Studios. You did some recording in there, I think.
Yeah.
Thought it was wicked. But when we met Nick said he was going to be on his skates, and I assumed he meant like rollerblades. And he pulled up with his ski poles, skating down the street. I was totally amazed. And I just love that. That's how the Hives get around, isn't it?
He does all modes of transportation. I feel like that's all he does. He like moves around with his body strength in different ways. Like it's kayaking or it's skiing, or there's always some kind of way of locomotion.
Yeah.
You guys run, right? That's your thing. You guys seem to always like get a run in after sign check.
Yeah, we're big on running. Me, Ryan, and Chris, who you didn't meet. Chris plays keys in the live band, but we didn't bring him on your tour. But he us three go for a run pretty much every day. It's kind of I love it. I'm tempted by the fold-up bike though. I feel like because the run is great for like a mental reset. And it's obviously great as a physical bit of exercise, but
To preserve the hotness of the band.
it gets harder and harder every year, you know. We've done like sightseeing running tours. Like when we were in Cologne on the tour with you, me and Ryan did a 10-mile run to Holger Schuckai and Jackie Lieberzeit from Cannes' grave.
Oh, there you go.
Which was a bit of musical history. We ran there 10 miles.
Did you go to they have pretty kick-ass cathedral there, speaking of cathedrals. It's like the most gothic, like evil-looking thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, that sounds like Cologne.
The Kölner Dome. It's pretty intense, man.
Are you quite into history? I feel like if you're into cathedrals, you're either into architecture or history.
Yeah, I am. But Johan who plays bass is way more knowledgeable with that stuff. I had a little bit of a series where I just kind of made up history. That's more my scene, you know.
Just join the dots.
I did clips of these like riffing on just looking at the church and then saying what had happened there and stuff, just making stuff up. But Johan's knowledge is more real. I guess I am a little interested. I mean, I'll go to church, look at it. I'm kind of against religion, but that's why it's also fun. Because if you're looking at an old building and you want it to be spectacular, it's got to be for religious reasons. Because that was the only way of getting people to pool together their resources was make-believe. Or slavery, or both.
Yeah, I'm not religious and I'm against organized religion, but I'm kind of open to this kind of spiritual idea of something bigger, and something bigger to believe in is a sort of unifying. Obviously, organized religion in itself has been the greatest divider and the cause of countless wars and genocides. But there's something about this lack of religion we have now, which is kind of spurred on individualism.
Yeah, well, in like a capitalist society, there's the idea of atomization, where you try to make people as separate as possible so they don't organize against capitalism.
Yeah.
You know, unionize and stuff. Therefore, like, everything's kind of built to keep you alone. Like you're supposed to order home food without meeting a friend, and you're supposed to watch TV series that no one else is watching, so you don't have anything to talk to because there's too many TV series to see. And that's the opposite of, I guess, religion or spirituality. It's kind of interesting. Like when Putin took over Russia again, there had been perestroika and stuff. They kind of dismantled the state because the state was like religion.
Yeah.
In Russia. The state of the Communist Party was like the unifying thing.
Yeah.
And then when that went away, he needed something to replace it. So it kind of gave a lot of power to the Russian Orthodox Church, because he needed something that could kind of fill the gap strategically. And that's pretty interesting, like that you would kind of go back that way. And I guess, seems like the USA also is like more religious than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Or like they drive, the idea of like one political party being more religiously correct than the other or whatever. I mean, I guess it's a powerful thing. If you want power, you can go to religious communities, and if you can recruit them, they're there because they're followers, basically. So you get like a whole herd of sheep in one go. Give me your flock, and then they'll vote for you, I guess.
Yeah, them and the trade union.
So yeah, I mean, I understand what you mean with the individualism and stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's like a balance between the two. It's like, I don't believe in like a fully capitalist economy. I don't believe in a fully communist economy either. Or like, what it's been so far with, like we grew up pretty close to Russia.
Yeah.
We were like during the Cold War, kind of in between the West and the East. Like we were on the cusp of both of them, pretending to be neutral, but we actually kind of weren't. Or like I used the term we loosely because I had nothing to do with that shit. I was 5 years old at the time or whatever. I didn't have a lot of political clout.
But were you vaguely aware of it through your parents?
Yeah, definitely. I was aware of the threat of nuclear war and all that stuff,
Yeah.
I remember really young picturing a big red button that a guy in a suit would press and it would end my life. Oh, it hasn't happened yet. I grew up on punk music, which is like all about individualism, but I guess that was from a different time when there was not enough of that, maybe, or you felt like you had to be a certain way or fitting in. When I grew up, it was it's a very egalitarian society, which is great. I never once thought of a friend as rich or poor.
Yeah.
Because it just felt like we all had the same amount of everything.
Yeah.
And where the only dividing thing I knew of was that I deduced that people that had divorced parents lived in apartments and people in married apartments lived in houses. That's like as far as my class awareness went.
It's so different. I think what you were mentioning about sort of individualism within punk, obviously, as a reaction, it made total sense. And obviously, I guess in this country, off the back of the wars and socialism and against the sort of looming threat of communism, it felt like very reactionary, and it kind of fed into, I suppose, in a very bizarre way, sort of neoliberalism, even though it never meant to. And I wonder what you think of how punk music's kind of changed, like the modern interpretation of sort of more, I say commercial because it's popular. I suppose what we're sort of affiliated with, even though I don't really consider us a punk band, I only say we are to wind up people who have opinions on punk. But do you feel like the perspective of what punks feel they are now has changed from how it began? As someone who was a fan of first wave punk and kind of heavily influenced by that.
I think it splintered pretty quickly into different groups. You know, it's kind of the cliche of any kind of left-wing movement is that it splinters into smaller and smaller groups arguing between each other instead of actually doing something.
Yeah.
So I feel like punk, even when I got into it, there was, you know, kind of super political crust punk. There was punk that just kind of felt like a joke. There was like the first wave punk. Even in the first wave punk, you get like the Ramones, who seem pretty unpolitical or kind of against being political. And then you got the Clash, who are very political. And then it also sounded very different. Like there were different types of punk arguing in fanzines about what was the most orthodox punk and stuff like that, which also felt like the corniest way for that, for a revolution. Like every revolution, kind of like it starts as a revolution, turns into a business, and ends as a fraud.
Yeah.
And even when I got into punk, that was already like rampantly going on. Like the cross punks didn't think that the people who were into like, you know, American punk were orthodox enough. And
yeah.
So in that way, it kind of turned into religious. And I thought all that was kind of corny, where I also feel like I just want to play some rock and roll. Plus, it was funny, like as long as we called ourselves a punk band, people had opinions on if we were doing things right or not. But as soon as we said we're a rock band, everything was allowed, which is kind of ironic.
At what point did you rebrand as a rock band then?
It's around the kind of when we started breaking through, it just kind of like...
Conveniently.
People started calling us rock and roll band, and then I was like, I guess we're a rock and roll band. So I guess maybe like 2001 to 3,
right,
we gradually transitioned into a rock band that sounded exactly like the punk band we were before.
So yeah, would you say the main difference between punk music and rock music is that you can't be criticized if you make rock music by punks?
Well, weirdly, there's, you know, punk was about like no rules, but weirdly, like there's way less rules in rock and roll.
Where have you been on tour?
Oh, we've been doing like summer festivals in Europe. Yeah, US tour and a big like South American tour.
Nice. I've still never been to South America. Is it the best place in the world?
I mean, the crowds are amazing. The food is great. There's interesting things to see that you haven't seen before. Like, what's not to like? Weather's pretty decent.
What are the cathedrals like?
A lot of them are very like colonial looking, you know, because I guess that's when they were built, and you know, probably built on the bones of native people or whatever.
Right.
It feels like, what I think fascinates me about the cathedrals and all that is that there's always like people are like, oh God, it's good, but I always just feel an aura of evil around them all. Like they were all kind of built on death and destruction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And especially kind of the Catholic ones, where like there's so much gold, and you know the people that built them starved.
Yeah,
so,
fucking hell, yeah.
It's like God is good. We got to build a bigger temple to him. Which brings me to another thing. But I mean, I'm just rambling, man.
No, this is gold.
But I had this idea a few days ago, like that AI is kind of like those statues on Easter Island. Apparently, they built those statues, and then when they got no crops, they built another one to appease the gods. And finally, they haven't eaten for years, and like, let's just build one more. And then they died.
Wow, it feels like posting on social media.
Yeah, and then like AI feels the same. It's like, no, they're like, we should stop giving water to humans, because if AI solves the irrigation problem, you know, it feels like the same thing. just build more AI. Don't make food. Just build more AI, and hopefully we'll reach a level of AI where it solves everything.
Yeah. I mean, it could be used for great good. I just don't feel it's going to be.
Yeah, well, that's true for most things, I suppose. You can make a bomb with atomic energy, or you can make basically free energy. But I don't feel at this point like it will be for the greater good.
No, but you never know. I mean, I have to have this seed of hope just as a coping mechanism, I think. It's not that I'm not
I
a
think it's
realist.
your youth.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's that.
No, I don't know, man. I want to be hopeful too.
It's been waning recently. But again, already saying it out loud, I'm like, no, I've got to resist this. I've got to have a little hope.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you ever been to Easter Island?
I've never been, no. It feels very far from anywhere you'd play a show.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think Vigilante, our guitar player, might have gone. Like, he goes on all these weird, like, fishing expeditions where he ends up on some atoll in some sea somewhere. So maybe, or maybe he just talked about doing it, but he hasn't done it yet. But I think it's really far from, like, the beaten path.
Yeah. Has anyone ever played a gig on Easter Island?
I don't know. You got to ask AI.
Yeah. I'll ask AI after this, and then I'll look at the logistics. It would tie in nicely with your sort of views on religion if you
Yeah,
did a gig on Easter Island on Easter Sunday.
fascinating.
And yeah, I'm sure you pull a crowd. So are you still in the middle of touring, or is this the end of festival season for you?
We're doing a few more in Europe, and then we're ending with the Rock in Rio, which feels fucking cool.
Nice.
Also, as a child of kind of the Cold War, I feel like Rock in Rio was such a like outlandishly glamorous thing that only like Queen would do. So we're doing that, and that's the last show until next summer, it seems. So we got a long break ahead of us, which I don't know how to handle really, but I guess I'll think of something.
You could learn how to paint faces.
Yeah, that'll take 9 months at least.
This might be too exclusive to reveal. Is a break, or are you gonna work on more Hive stuff, or?
It's uncertain. We've kind of said that we're not going to put that pressure on ourselves because we've been in people's faces pretty intensively for like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And absence makes the heart go fonder and all that. So we might actually try to stay away. I guess we could secretly make a masterpiece, ready to drop later on. I feel like we're going to have to do the last show and then meet and talk about what people want to do. Because I mean, maybe people actually want to be home. Because we've been working really hard, or I don't even want to call it work, but we've been doing a lot of this band stuff and very little be home stuff. So it might be sensible to be home a bit.
Yeah.
Just be rich and leisurely. Now that we've bagged all the money, we can kind of just try to enjoy it. The dough we made instead of going on tour again.
What does off-tour time look like to you? You seem like a man who enjoys life and could fill his days quite easily. You obviously work incredibly hard. I've witnessed you at work live. I know you guys cut the records, but you seem like a man who's not obsessed with work. You seem like you've got your priorities right.
Sounds very nice of you. I think in that respect, I probably have my priorities the worst of anyone in the Hives. I'm the most interested in work, I think, in the band maybe.
You are.
But I'm working on it. I mean, just working all the time. As much as I love doing it, it's a little one-dimensional. So yeah, I don't think I have any problem filling 9 months with things. But I guess the worry is that if I left to my own devices, I'm going to make something creative because that's what I like doing with my days. Like whether it's painting or I'll make some music or I'll try to make something because I think it's, entertaining to me. And the worry is that then if I start painting, I'm going to start selling paintings and I'm going to start working really hard at that. And then I'm just going to shift my focus and work equally hard and never take any time off. And I'll just have 2 things to do. The worry that I'm just going to turn any hobby into a job.
Okay, you're not the person I thought you were, Pelle. I thought I could learn something from you, but it turns out you're just as terrible as I am in that sense.
I guess I am, yeah. I mean, once you make something you're proud of, you're interested in showing it to people, and then like the whole roundabout starts going, right?
I felt that massively with the painting, and I've just decided to slow down on it. Well, not slow down on the painting, but
on the promotion of the painting. Or like,
yeah, I never intended to show them. And then a couple of people, one of them being Meredith, was sort of really nurturing and encouraging and kind of like, you should show these. And then the Royal Academy thing happened because I was encouraged to submit to that. And then I was like, okay, I'll show them. And then I had like quite a few backed up. So I was kind of just cycling out old work and like feeding the machine, like, and it felt quite good. And then I about a month ago, I started to realize I was coming to the end of my like backlog of like previous paintings. And I started like thinking about like, oh, what should I do next to like feed this machine? And instantly realized that because it had done okay, and I think I've sold like six of them now. Started to be like, shit, I need more stuff to sell. And it was like, hang on, that was never the reason you started doing it. So I've decided to stop painting. I've now started sketching. I'm trying to understand shadow. I want to be able to paint from my brain and understand shadow and light.
As opposed to from photos.
I've got a few people that are sitting for me. So that's the next thing I want to do, is capture from real life. And then, I mean, I often sort of tweak the photos anyway and take liberties, but I always use them as a frame of reference for understanding sort of like, composition and shadow. And then I kind of twist it up and change the colors and sort of move stuff around and paint stuff in and out. But I've got quite serious about it and realized that I'm nowhere near as good as I want to be, but to get really good at it, I have to not make it a public thing too quick.
It's a worry like that I would do something where I then feel like, oh, I'm almost good at this. I got to work harder. And then, you're kind of trapped in workaholic mode again.
Yeah, I started painting because I didn't understand it. Like I understand how to write a song now. It doesn't mean it's going to be good, but I understand the constructs of writing a song. With painting, I didn't know what I was doing, and it felt like fresh, and there was like a real naivety, and I guess that childlike sense of like that you kind of lose when you get good at something. And now I'm starting to want to be really good at it. I'm starting to think like, shit, like, is this going the same way as the other stuff?
That's the shittiest, like, that hurdle. It's sort of like you make your first couple of songs and you're so excited by them, and the fact that you're so excited about them makes them good, and people like can feel that energy from it, like, oh, that's amazing, like you're having so much fun. Like there's so many bands I like that made one good song when they were 16 and then like never did it again. And so you have that beginner's luck, and then you start to have to do it consciously and try to get better at it, and then it's like a decade of torture where you're not as good as you want to be. And then you kind of relax. But I don't want to get into that like decade of torture, which I know that maybe my obsessive personality will put me there at some point. So I'm not sure what to do with the painting thing.
I'm looking forward to seeing you paintings. What kind of stuff do you paint? Landscapes or?
Well, it's sort of like people in settings, but they have no faces, I guess.
Right.
Maybe it's because I was sort of depressed when I was doing It was really cool though, going to like the painting class, and the teacher asked me to like bring in some stuff I liked. And I guess what I naturally like is sort of lifelike or rigid and lifelike. And then when he started like, oh, here's how you do this. And then I realized how much math and sketching it is if you're doing that style.
Yeah.
And everything has to sit in a certain place for it to get a feeling of realism and like perspectives and shade. And it made me sort of like it less and more at the same time. Like when you realize that, oh, the people that I like, how they paint, they don't start in one corner and then just work their way to the other corner. Like there's a lot of mechanics, which is same, I guess, for songwriting, like, where there's an idea aspect and a craft aspect to it. And the craft aspect can both kind of ruin the fun and also be so interesting.
Yeah.
So you're writing a song, you got different rhyme schemes and, things where like, and in the beginning, you just kind of feel like, oh, this word needs to go here. And if I have this many syllables in this line, it sounds better if I have the same amount of syllables in the next line.
Yeah.
And you kind of do it unconsciously because you've heard so many songs. But then when you're like Max Martin territory, when there's like a lot of math involved and like, you can only go so many notes from this chord into that chord and stuff like that. I guess those people have done it enough so that it's kind of in their system, which is, I think, same with painting maybe. Or like being a writer, where I thought you just started writing the book from the beginning and then you kept going until you finished it. And then you realize, oh, they're just dividing it into sections and it all has to follow this structure. Otherwise, and if it doesn't, it's really boring to read. Like, you have to work at it, I guess. And that can kind of kill the romance, I feel. Almost more romantic that someone just fucking painted their entire life
Yeah.
because they knew they had to make it the way they wanted to be.
Yeah, one painting their entire life. They finished their masterpiece on the deathbed kind of vibes.
No, I think it's a shitty life. It's great for everyone who lives afterwards and can see the Sistine Chapel, but I don't think that guy had a great time doing it.
Yeah.
I guess that goes back to what you were saying about like the balance of like, if I have 9 months off, shouldn't I just do nothing? Which is probably like the right move, you know, try to enjoy life a bit.
Do you enjoy life?
Well, I mean, if I have 9 months off, what do I do with them? Like, I probably shouldn't do more creative work, right? I mean, it's kind of like going back into the dungeon, you know?
I feel like as I get older, I'm getting into that idea of slowing down more. And it's a hard practice when you've worked at something for so long. And then when you finally get the first sort of rewards of that, I guess the main reward is you get paid to do it. So you can cut, apart from the parts of the job that are like, that you have to do that aren't creative, you get to be creative all the time if you want.
Yeah.
And that's when you feel like you're going to accelerate. But I feel like I'm starting to feel less urgency about making stuff than I did even 5 years ago, when I used to be like, I could put out 2 albums a year, no problem, because I had this like desperate urge to get it all out of me. Whereas now I'm just kind of like, the world only needs what you feel it's ready for. But I don't know. But I also agree that you should just share stuff and move on. You know, I think stuff is to be shared. But then again, I kind of really admire that practice of just doing stuff for yourself, which is why the painting thing's been weird, because it was just for me and now it's not.
You've invited people in your house, basically. And now they're there. They're standing there while you're painting, basically.
They're all hovering over,
looking over your shoulder and
hovering over that.
Thinking about if it's good. Do you feel like the slowing down is getting complacent, or just feeling like you should do less but better things? Or is it, because there's a reality when you make 2 records a year, but you only put out 1 record. Like you're making the greatest hits on those 2 records. Like you don't have to put out everything.
I guess this feeds back into what you were saying earlier about living with the work you do. When you make a record and then you take a couple months off before you come back to it and see if you still like it on the other side. I think making stuff is so fun that there's this real sense of urgency that you want to share it immediately after you've done it, because to you it was just fun doing it. But the reality is, whether that makes it good or not is always subjective. But, you know, I even find now, like, we finished the album in January, and by the July when it's coming out, I'm already kind of like, oh, this is old and boring to me. But it's not, because it's just that I've lived with it. If I could have put it out the day we'd finished mixing it, I would have been like, go. But it's learning to live with the slower process and doing stuff within that time that, yeah, it's not that I wouldn't paint, but it's that I wouldn't paint for purpose.
Yeah.
I suppose it's just pointless. The pointlessness of everything is important. And I think the more you do, the less you consume, and consuming other people's creative output is important. That's a good sauna, Pelle. Look at that.
Yeah, it's nice, man.
How long can you do?
It's depends on how hot it is. Maybe I do 20 minutes, I go for a dip, I do another 20 minutes, and I try to keep it pretty hot. But I don't like putting water on the rocks. I want it to be dry.
Oh, you want to dry? Okay.
So I know that the sweat is actually my sweat.
Is the dip sauce, is that natural, or is that a pool?
It's the sea, the Baltic Sea, basically.
Oh, beautiful.
Which is sort of 50 yards in English, that way.
That sounds, see, to me, that doing that, when we were in Oslo, we went to one of the saunas on the fjord after the day after the first show. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you remember that, yeah.
And we were jumping into the fjord, and it was, that was one of the best things I've ever done. The hot to cold transition is incredible. It makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, I'd rather do that than paint, you know.
Well, yeah, maybe you should do that more. It's interesting what you said about input and output, though, because, like, there's like, if there's no input, there's no output. Like, that's how culture works. I'm not necessarily saying you rip stuff off, but you hear something that lights something inside you that makes you want to do it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you've seen paintings you like. That's why you wanted to paint. It doesn't just come from inside. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, I feel like nowadays there's, too much information and too many people doing too many things to take in. And whenever I feel uninspired, the trick is to take that stuff out.
Yeah.
Like less input, because you're already so full of shit or full of impressions that if you stop listening to things and you stop reading books and stop, watching TV and stop looking at your social media feed and stuff, if you just wait for a bit, then you're going to feel inspired.
It's just doing nothing and waiting.
Yeah, you'll get an urge after a little while. I feel like everyone's kind of pacified by too much input.
Right. Okay.
At least I am at times.
Yeah.
Especially like on tour where, there is a lot of time when you're just supposed to wait.
Yeah.
And I don't like making music on tour. We tried a bunch of times, but it just I don't like doing it. I'm too tired and to actually focus on it. Plus, making more music just feels like you got to go on tour again, and you're already on tour, so it feels like kind of a circular hell. So I feel like just not taking part and waiting, and then you start to get an urge to do something after a little bit.
That seems like a good sage piece of advice to end this lovely conversation on.
All right, it's been great. It's fun talking to you as always, James.
Cool, man. Well, I'll let you get on with your day. Hopefully I'll see you in October when we're in Stockholm if you're about.
Yeah, I've got 9 months off, so I'll see you there.
Yeah, wicked.
Take care,
all right,
James.
cheers, Pelle.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Talkhouse Podcast, and thanks to Pelle Almqvist and James Smith for chatting. If you liked what you heard, please follow Talkhouse on your favorite podcasting platform and check out all the other great podcasts in our network. This episode was produced by Myron Kaplan, and the Talkhouse theme is composed and performed by The Range. See you next time.